I just wanted to start by saying that there is an enormous amount of scientific evidence that being generous and altruistic reduces stress, and that there's even more evidence that reduced stress is correlated with a long life and better health. And I think all of us know that that must be true, because has there ever been anybody more generous than Eleanor? And we are here today celebrating her 100th birthday. And I have a guess that we will be back when she celebrates her 110th as well. Sorry, Eleanor. When I told Eleanor that we were going to give a party in her honor, she said, no gifts and no big speeches. I, of course, agreed, but with my fingers just a little bit crossed, because we couldn't have a birthday party without a few gifts and at least somebody saying a few words about this wonderful woman who has brought us so much happiness in this community. So, Eleanor, we're going to kind of honor your wish. But I did ask your old friend Tom Foster, who has come here from the Berkshires. He drove out today. He has to get back this evening. If he would say a few words. He said he would be thrilled and honored. And so, Tom, I know you're back in there somewhere. And then we have just a very few things for you, Eleanor, also. So thank you for coming. And Tom, you're on.
It's an honor to be here today, and even a greater honor to be able to say a few words at this wonderful event. I called Eleanor today at about 1:15 and said, I'll be over in I actually got her answering machine, and I left a message, and I said, I'll be over in a half hour to pick you up, and we're looking forward to seeing you. And you hear click, and she said, I got all of that. But it's wonderful to see so many people come out for this wonderful occasion. You know, during the course of our existence, we meet hundreds, if not thousands of people, most of whom just become footnotes in our lives. Others become acquaintances, colleagues, and a far smaller number become our long-lasting friends. But if we're really lucky, as we go along, we meet a number of people, 2, 3, no more than a handful, that earn a special place in our hearts and in our minds because they're truly extraordinary people. These people become our role models by the way they live their lives. Their character becomes our moral compass, and their generosity, their courage, and their kindness inspire us to become better people, to become more like them. And for me, in my life, Eleanor Norris has always been one of these extraordinary people. I met Eleanor way back in the mid-70s, and from the start I was impressed, as I'm sure all of you have been, with how she just passed over the chance for personal gain and wealth, and instead of selling her land for development, she donated 100 of the most beautiful acres in Massachusetts to the trustees in memory of her dear husband Albert, for all of us to enjoy. What a selfless act. Just an amazing selfless act. But I've come to know that as extraordinary as this act was, it was really quite typical of her generous spirit and the principles by which she lives her life. I've come to think of Eleanor as being a disciple of Henry David Thoreau and the principles that he taught us all about in Walden. His respect, reverence, and love of nature, his mindfulness, and perhaps most significantly when we're thinking about Eleanor, about his admonishment to simplify, simplify, simplify. I think that Eleanor has led a simple life, a simple but full life, but even in the act of simplifying her life, she's always kept the interests and welfare of those around her at heart. And as a case in point, I'd like to tell you a quick story. For those of you who grew up in Norwell, I'm going to pull this over. You may recall, how many of you did? I saw my old friend John Stilgo here somewhere. Okay, gone. Anyone else? Quite a few. Well, you may recall that on what is now the Norris Reservation, on the ridge just above the North River, there was what I call the old summer camp or lodge. And Eleanor and Albert used this numerous times to host parties where the dancing, singing, and music would play on far into the night. When Albert passed away, Eleanor knew she had to take stock of how she was managing the property. And she was concerned that the camp would become more and more difficult to manage and maintain. So she decided to throw one last party for all of their old friends. As usual, there was the music, the dancing, the singing, and the revelry. However, little did her friends know that this would be the last party, the last one at the lodge, and that Eleanor had arranged to have a wrecking crew come the next morning and tear it down. She alone knew the fate that awaited the lodge, but followed through with her plan without fanfare or drum. She simply wanted her friends to have one last celebration in that rustic lodge. It was a bittersweet occasion for Eleanor, but one from which she sheltered her friends from the melancholy that the next day held. This was Eleanor Norris at her best, simplifying her life, being strong, and above all, being kind and caring deeply about the welfare of those around her. Now, not all of, if I'm talking out of school, Eleanor, I'm sorry, but I thought that was such a beautiful story that I had to tell it. Not all of Eleanor's actions had such a high profile. Most of them were very quietly carried out and unintrusive. There were the many times that she would cook up a big batch of hot chocolate and bring it over to the skaters on Mill Pond to help warm them up on a cold winter's day. She would often walk the reservation's trails with a pocket full of trustees' brochures and hand them out to anyone along the way that she encountered, encouraging them to become members and supporters. And then, on occasion, there was even times when things needed to be done on the reservation for which the trustees didn't have the funding. And again, quietly, Eleanor would step forward, provide the funds, and we could get the work done. And I'm sure there were times when she did this only by sacrificing something that she could have done for herself. Well, I, like all of you, could probably go on telling stories about Eleanor Norris forever, but I think I'm preaching to the converted, preaching to the choir, so I'll simply say that we want to thank you, Eleanor, for all you've done for the trustees, all you've done for the town of Norwell and its citizens and the people of the South Shore. And as a show of our appreciation, we have a photo album here that is filled with pictures of people enjoying the Norris Reservation, having a wonderful time. And the pictures were taken, and the album was compiled by Jen Fairfield, who is a Norwell resident and a lover of the Norris Reservation. And while she's never met you, she's one of your great admirers. And so we want to present this to you with great thanks and, of course, with best wishes for a happy 100th birthday.
Well, thank you all for coming and saying nice things for me. It gives me courage to go on.
Just speak in there now, people can hear you. Thank you.
I want to thank you all for coming and glad to know that I've been useful to people, and I've been happy to go there too.
Town of Norwell is very proud to have Eleanor, as you might imagine, as a resident. And Ray McBride is member of the Board of Selectmen, who's here today on behalf of that board to thank you, Eleanor, for the phenomenal gift you gave to all of us. So, Greg, if you want to come forward.
Thanks, Leslie. Eleanor, I'm here with the other selectmen, Ellen Allen. Unfortunately, our other selectman, John Marion, couldn't be with us today. But on behalf of the entire town of Norwell, we want to thank you for your generosity and the citizenship that you expressed. We have a proclamation that we're going to give to you, and I won't read the whole thing right now, but let me just read the end of it. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen of the town of Norwell, along with the residents of the town of Norwell, hereby extend this heartfelt 100th birthday wish and thanks to Eleanor A. Norris for her foresight, generosity, and preservation of such an exemplary piece of property. Happy 100th birthday, Eleanor.